Hi, my name is Hailey Stuart, presenting my selected leader presentation. Nelson Mandela was such a fantastic leader who knew what he wanted his country to become. He was imprisoned numerous times because of it and still continued to fight for what he believed in and never gave up. He kept his promise of only serving one term as president, which showed people he meant what he said. As a leader, he never fought back against his people because he knew that they were empowering and trusting him to always look out for them. As a leader, you need to have trust in your followers so that they will support you in your endeavors to make change. Nelson Mandela was a constant reminder of how we should treat people in our communities and around the world. A quote that really stuck with me while researching about Mandela was when he was talking about his Nobel Peace Prize. Quote, "The efforts of a small, dedicated group of leaders working objectively and without any vested personal interest in the outcome can help resolve what often seems like intractable problems," end quote. Being able to be so selfless and have the understanding of what you need to do as a leader to make your country a better place is what truly makes Nelson Mandela a great leader. So who is Nelson Mandela? Mandela was born on July 18, 1918, in a small South African village. He was widely known for being a social rights activist, a politician, a philanthropist, who fought against the apartheid, which is a system of segregation or discrimination because of race. He also became South Africa's first Black president from 1994 to 1999. After his amazing and passionate life, Nelson Mandela passed away on December 5th of 2013. Mandela became the first of his family to attend school. After his father died, Mandela was adopted by a chief who was the acting regent of the Thimbu people. This was where we start to see how he grew up shape his values, which according to James Kouzes and Barry Posner, values are our bottom line and are influenced by every aspect of our life. At a young age, he was quote-unquote groomed to assume a high office position. Mandela's love for African history started to grow, which was when he learned that African, quote, people lived in relative peace until white people came to South Africa, end quote. After completing his bachelor's, he enrolled in university to study law. This is where Mandela joined the African National Congress, or the ANC, and became involved with the anti-apartheid movement. While in the ANC, Mandela and some of the others came together to start the African National Congress Youth League, which fought to give millions of rural area people a voice in the government. Finally, in 1949, the government adopted the Youth League's methods. If Mandela and his fellow fighters gave up their voices to change, then they would never have gotten the change in the government. The Youth League modeled the way for many generations to come. Mandela founded a law firm with one of his close friends from Fort Hare, Oliver Tambo. The law firm Mandela and Tambo provided free and low-cost legal counsel to unrepresented blacks. By becoming partners, Mandela and Tambo shared visions and values that brought them closer to help fight. They both were able to motivate others and appeal to their ideals as well. This was when Mandela and 150 others were arrested and charged with treason on their political advocacy, and eventually they were all acquitted. A couple years later, in 1961, Mandela co-founded MK, which was an armed offshoot of the ANC and was designed to use guerrilla warfare tactics to end segregation. Along with that, he also conducted a 3-day national worker strike where he was arrested and sentenced to 27 years in prison. While he was in prison, he was still such a, quote, potent symbol of Black resistance that a coordinated international campaign for his release was launched, end quote. Because of this campaign, Mandela was offered to be released in 1985, but he rejected it because the government wanted him to renounce armed struggles against them. By Mandela rejecting his release, he proved that he knew what his values were and what he stood for, that he didn't want to give that up for what he'd been fighting for, which was the voice of those who didn't have one. Once the new president came into power in 1990, Mandela was finally freed from prison, but did not want the international pressure of the South African government to stop. Mandela kept pressing until the black majority got the right to vote. He was able to find the opportunity for change, and he would not back down challenging the government. Shortly after that, Mandela was elected president of the ANC, making him the first black president of South Africa in 1994. Interesting enough, Mandela used the power of sports to bring whites and blacks together for interracial voting and unity. Nelson Mandela said it perfectly, quote, "A good leader can emerge in a debate frankly and thoroughly, knowing that at the end he and the other side must be closer and thus emerge stronger. You don't have that idea when you are arrogant, superficial, and uninformed," end quote. Being a strong leader, you choose to make your supporters stronger by challenging their ideas to make them prove to you and themselves that they are willing to challenge the process. After Nelson Mandela's presidency, him and his wife co-founded the Elders, which was, quote, "a group of world leaders aiming to work both publicly and privately to find solutions in some of the world's toughest issues," end quote. These issues included peace and women's equality, supporting humanitarian crisis, and promoting democracy. The Elders impacted a wide range of Asia, the Middle East, and Africa. Along with the Elders, Mandela also fought against AIDS, which one of his sons passed away from in 2005. Founding these organizations gave people the power to act on the basis of what is right through thoughtful groups. A key point that Nelson Mandela would focus on is forgiveness. Being able to forgive is what makes you able to focus on moving forward. Bill Clinton talked to Mandela about how he looked so angry when he walked out of prison a free man, and to Clinton's surprise, this is what Mandela said to him, quote, "I'm surprised that you saw that, and I regret that the cameras caught my anger. Yes, you are right. When I was in prison, the son of a guard started a Bible study and I attended. That day when I stepped out of prison and looked at the people observing, a flush of anger hit me and the thought that they had robbed me of 27 years. When the Spirit of Jesus said to me, 'Nelson, while you were in prison, you were free. Now that you are free, don't become a prisoner,'" end quote. Being able to show that you have forgiven and not let your emotions get the best of you is what will make you become a much better leader to your supporters. After Mandela passed away, his legacy lives on in books, quotes, and different foundations created by him and for him. These foundations encourage the different values people bring to the table and truly showed how to become a great leader just like Nelson Mandela. Quote, "What counts in life is not the mere fact that we have lived. It is what difference we have made in the lives of others that will determine the significance of our life we led," end quote. Thank you for listening.